A Flintstone Christmas is one of those odd specials in particular, in the fact that, I mean, I grew up with the Flintstones as a kid. I used to watch it all the time when it was on Cartoon Network, but I'd mostly forgotten about it for the longest period of time. But then again, when Hanna Barbera cartoons are very hard to find on Cartoon Network, and you don't have Boomerang, and you don't get there's a good chunk of time before we eventually got the DVD releases to hold them forever. You honestly forget that you used to love something back in the day until it shows up on your television again. And the Flintstone Christmas is definitely one of those examples of a holiday special where I remember watching it a lot when it was on TNT, when they used to have cartoons on there. But it was a long time that I completely forgotten about it. And then they started playing it again, like in the late 2000s on like WGN, and Cartoon Network started putting it on again, as well as ABC Family during 25 Days of Christmas. And you realize this is actually a lot better than you would actually expect it to be. Or maybe it's just a nostalgia factor for me. But A Flintstone Christmas debuted all the way back in December of 1977 on NBC. This was like way after the original Flintstone series had ended, and yet the Flintstones were still on TV in various shows on NBC's Saturday morning lineup. And this was actually the second time the Flintstones ever did a Christmas special, even though they did one in the early series. In the series, Christmas Flintstone, I think it was like late into the series. I think this was I think it was like 63 or 64 or something like that. And, the first thing you got to ask yourself is, how can the Flintstones celebrate Christmas if Jesus hasn't been born yet? That's one of those things where it's just like, okay, you gotta put logic aside here. I mean, that's obviously a good question, but I think they are fully aware that this is not meant to be taken seriously in any way, shape, or form, and they just want you to sit back and enjoy the special. And for me personally, I enjoy the hell out of this a lot. It's Christmas Eve, and Fred finally agrees to play Santa Claus for a benefit event, but those plans must be put on hold that night when the real Santa Claus sprains his ankle falling off of Fred's roof. With no other option, Santa asks Fred and Barney to continue his delivery itinerary for him, and they agree. Throughout the night, the pair find their job unsuccessfully difficult, but Santa and the support crew are ready to help. And yeah, not really not really a complicated premise is what I was trying to say. Sorry about that. Not really a complicated premise overall. Just like Santa gets injured, Fred and Barney just happen to be the cockroaches in the room, and basically, they're the ones that get picked out and say, hey, can you do this for me? And they're more than happy to do it, obviously. And yeah, it's just an adventure of them going around the world in one night to deliver all of Santa's goodies. And of course, Fred's got to do this thing at this party for his boss, Mr. Slate. And of course, Wilma and Betty are there, as well as Pebbles and Bam Bam, waiting for Santa Claus to show up. And of course, it's all this adventure that's going on. It's a very simple storyline, and it's one that most people can usually just follow along with, even though there are a lot of complicating factors to it. But the script overall plays it very safe, and I mean, it's unique. It's not one of my favorites because it's unique or something different. It's one of my favorites because simply of the nostalgia value to it. When I watch this again, it's took me back to being a child watching this every Christmas and being entertained by it and seeing essentially what Christmas was like back then in the 70s too. Because when you don't think about it because it's supposed to be taking place in prehistoric times, but when you look at Bedrock all decked up in the Christmas stuff, that was like that for all the cities around all the cities and all the stores all over the place at Christmas time. And considering what it's like nowadays, I mean, it barely looks like there's a lot of Christmas when you go out to the malls and all that. But it took me back to being a child and going to seeing the way the stores looked at Christmas time and all the decorations all around town and all that. Yeah, it's just something that when you watch it, it's just kind of like, yeah, it's just something that kind of takes me back to all that kind of stuff. And this one also works because you could tell that they weren't half-assing around with this. The animation overall is pretty damn impressive. I mean, everything about this special overall is impressive. The animation in general just looks really nicely done. It really looks like they put all their effort into it. They also had, some great music involved in there, even though a lot of it is stuff that's taken from other Hanna Barbera specials. That's actually one of the funny things I found interesting about this is that, Hanna-Barbera was well known for taking a lot of stuff from their other projects. There was another special that came out in the 70s called A Christmas Story. Not that Christmas Story, not the one with the BB gun and all that, a different Christmas Story, which it was the one about a kid who had a Christmas list, and a dog and a mouse had to get the list to Santa Claus to get on Christmas Eve. And You know, there's a whole bunch of songs from that, like The Sounds of Christmas Day, Which One is the Real Santa Claus, and Hope, that are all in this special. And even so, there's new stuff written for this special that was later used for another Christmas special by Hanna Barbera, Yogi's First Christmas. And even one of them was also used in A Christmas Story. That's how much they usually like to retread and bring back all these different Christmas songs from different specials and all that. But then again, nobody really knew back then how successful the VHS was going to be, or DVD, or Beta, or whatever home video system you had. I mean, nobody really knew how successful that was going to be. So I guess they pretty much thought the whole idea was, hey, nobody's going to really remember this. I mean, that's what it's like when you watch the old Looney Tunes. Like, you never realized back then. You never realized how the Looney Tunes cartoons looked so different looked like the same cartoons at various times. But then again, they didn't realize that this was going to be playing on television and later on videotapes and DVDs down the road. They were making them specifically for theaters, thinking that they were just going to be there and then that's it. Nobody's going to bring them up again. And yet, sure enough, that's what we preserved a lot of those cartoons. And now we can look at them and go like, well, wait a minute, that Bugs Bunny cartoon looks like the same as this Daffy Duck cartoon. That's stuff that could easily be something where it's just like, okay, yeah, you can kind of tell they weren't really putting their effort into it in terms of like creating original material, but at the same time, they were doing it at a time when they didn't know if this stuff was actually going to last over the decades, and sure enough, it has done just that and then some. And it's just a really good special, man. It's a really fun special overall. The music is top notch, the animation is great, hearing the voice work once again is really good. It's a very simple, well-done special. It doesn't have to do anything new or different if it can still entertain the viewer. And for me, they did just that with the Flintstone Christmas. It's one that I'm glad to see is coming back on TV nowadays these past couple of years. And hopefully this will be something where they keep bringing it back on television after all these years and DVD and all that. Because this is definitely one that I wouldn't mind watching over and over again every year.